Hello. I'm creating this little video because we've been having so much problems this semester that I'm going to show you how to rework in Blackboard. We are not going to be using Cengage for any of our assignments for the rest of this semester. So they were in Unit 1, but they're not going to be in Unit 2, Let's Get Started, or in Unit 3, Code Baby Code. So the way that we are going to be doing our assignments is actually through Blackboard. You will still use Cengage for the reading, but all the reading is going to be in Chapter 4. Chapter 4 of the 321 Coded book is divided up into many sections, and each one of those sections correspond with a certain section in your code book here. All right, so as we're going through the sections, you'll be able to read about it in the 321 Coded book, which is this one. And if you don't have a copy of it, hard copy, remember there's the digital book, and it's actually, like I said, it's connected in Blackboard, and I put it at the top of each one of the future units, and flashboards and a slideshow, so a PowerPoint that you can access. Now, the things that I have changed is that within each unit, you will have a video that kind of goes over me talking about what we're going to be discussing, which chapters in the code book that we will be discussing. Then you are going to have, and I have my computer here, so let me see if we can kind of meet what that's going to be. Get my email out of the way. Okay, so in this one, it's Let's Get Started. So this is the Let's Get Started, and mine is going to look a little different from you on the side here because I'm the instructor, so I have a lot more things that I have to handle. Okay, so right here, this is Chapter 4. This is the code book reading. I might put some more PDFs in there if I get permission from the publisher from the book that we were going to use that we could never get connected to through Cengage. The Understanding ICD 10 CM and ICD 10 PCS coding, a work text, which we could never, for some reason, Cengage could never connect us with that. So we're not using that book anymore this semester. So as long as you have this reading, then you can just click on that and it will take you to the reading. Then this is the PowerPoint, the slideshow for Chapter 4, and then flashcards that will help you with the vocabulary, different things that have been introduced in Chapter 4. So this is, like I said, this is Unit 2. Now, the actual coding, we have 3 different sections that we're going to be dealing with this month. Keep in mind everything, it gives you the due date down here at every folder. So these 3 chapters, these 3 units within the Unit 2 are due on October the 26th at 11:59 p.m. CST. Okay, so it gives you kind of a little bit of information of what you're going to find inside of these. So I'm just going to click on this first one right here, kind of walk us through it. And you might notice that they're out of order. Let me go back actually. Okay. So you might notice that we are starting with G, and then we go to, so G00 through J99, then we go to K00 through N99, then we go back to A00 through F99. I did that because of these 3 areas, of these 3 folders, this is going to be the hardest. It has a little bit more guidelines with that chapter, actually with chapters A and B, and with chapters C and D. A and B are infectious diseases and parasitic diseases, and then C and D are neoplasms, which is another word for cancer, and there's a lot more guidelines. So I wanted us to get a little bit more comfortable with the actual coding and working our way through the code book with the MAT. main term, alphabetic index, and tabular by doing that system before we start adding additional guidelines. Although G00 through J99 in chapter I, which is the heart, dealing with the heart and hypertension, as you'll see in the video when we go into this, there is that one chapter that has some additional guidelines, and I go over them in the video. But the rest of them are just basic MAT. They're just basic main term, alphabetic index, tabular. So if you get those 3 steps down, then you're going to be okay. So going into that, you only have, I have this on top of everything. The only way to learn how to code is to code. So there's going to be a lot of coding that we're going to do. This is the video lecture. It hooks you up to a YouTube video, and you can watch it over and over again. You can watch it as much as you want to. The case studies that I use in my video book, or in my video, are going to be at the beginning of the chapter that I am speaking in your code book. They're going to be there. So, for example, when I am talking about the heart and the kidney, when I'm talking about those, it is actually at the beginning of the chapter of the circulatory system, which is I, and they're going to be, the first one that I use is right here. So if you go into your tabular, and it's the first page of the circulatory system, so chapter 9 in your code book, then this is the first one that I use in the video. The second one I use is this one over here. So if you want to actually be looking at the problem while I'm talking about it on the board, you can find it in your code book. These are the only things in each one of the chapters, in each one of the areas that we're going to be looking in. You will now have a code it, you will have homework, and you will have case studies. And they kind of get harder as you go through. Code it is kind of just your basic. I'm actually going to click onto it real quick. But it's just basic. So it's going to be like chronic recurrent mastoiditis in the right ear. And you will put in the code for that. Acute on chronic diastolic, chronic heart failure. So episodic cluster headaches, intractable. So that kind of gives you, basically, you're going to find your main term. Then you're going to go to the alphabetic index, and then you're going to find it in the tabular to see if there are any notes. If it only has one blank, you're only going to have one code. If it has 2, you're going to have 2 codes, and you're going to have to figure out which one goes first. That's in those tabular notes where it says code first or code also. So that's going to be your code its. Okay, so they're going to be pretty basic. When we go into the homework, this is going to be multiple choice, and it's going to deal with some other things about coding, as well as you'll be doing some coding. So that's going to be multiple choice on your coding, but then it's also going to have some true or false, and then some matching, and just different things within just different true or false questions from there. Now, when we get to the case studies are going to be harder. This is going to be as if you were actually looking through someone's, so it's going to be, instead of it just being the main thing that you're going to look up in the code book, this is actually going to give you a scenario. So it's going to tell you about what's happening, and then you have to figure out, I give you the number of codes that you need. You're going to have to figure out which is the main code, and you're going to have to figure out anything else that goes with it. So a 20-year-old male college student was brought to the emergency department complaining of a sudden onset headache, fever, and stiffness with pain in the neck. He had been treated in in the College Health Service Center for an ear infection in the past week. After admission, the patient also complained of chest pain, fatigue, cough, and nausea. A diagnostic lumbar puncture was performed, and the findings were positive for meningitis. A chest x-ray revealed pneumonia. Sputum and final fluid cultures grew the pneumococcus organism, or the Streptococcus pneumoniae. The physical examination also confirmed the presence of acute otitis media of both ears. The patient was treated with intravenous antibiotics for infections. The discharge diagnosis written by the physicians were pneumococcal meningitis with pneumococcal pneumonia and acute suppurative otitis media. So it's actually going to give you a scenario, and then you are going to have to figure out what you're coding. I'm going to give you a little hint. Read the last line. Okay? Not all of them have this, but this one does. It actually says the discharge diagnosis. So the diagnoses, this is why he was in there. The pneumococcal meningitis, pneumococcal pneumonia, and acute suppurative otitis media. Those are your 3 codes. All right, so you have to figure out the main term, go to the alphabetic index, and the tabular. So and some of them are fairly easy. Some of them only might have 1 code. Some of them might have 2. There are going to be some, like this one has 4. This one has 5. So this is what you're actually going to be doing a little bit more as part of the coding. If you have any questions, I hope that kind of explains what we're going to be doing through the rest of the semester. So we have that, like I said, when you click on the video, it's going to take you to my video on YouTube, and you should be able to watch it. And it'll give you a little bit more information, like I said, about the whole coding, and then also a little bit on just the circulatory system, like I said, which is the one that has a few more guidelines than just basic main term, alphabetic index, tabular. So you will see me on the video.
Okay, so I just did this entire lecture and to the recording. So let's try.
All right, so that's the video, and each one of these will have one, and that's all for right now. Like I said, if you have any questions, just get in contact me on the Remind Me app or text me, and I will answer them for you. Also, this is just a reminder, I teach a face-to-face coding class on the main campus, the main UAM campus in Monticello at 7 p.m. on Tuesday nights in room 213 of the Babin Business Center, so the BBC. Anyone who wants to, even though I know you're online, you can come and listen to my lecture, and that way you can ask questions face-to-face if you have any of those. And I look forward to hearing from you. Also, the grade, if you're looking for your grade, when you go into my grades, this weighted total right here is going to be your total. So it will give you the weighted average, the weighted total is your grade. If you have something over here that has this blue circle, that means that you haven't turned it in yet, which means I can't see it and I can't grade it. And if it has this blue circle, that means that it will end up as a 0 unless you finish it and turn it in. Also, when we are looking at the work that we're doing in Unit 2, you have multiple chances to get started. You have multiple chances for these. So read the instruction. So it allows multiple attempts. For example, this coded, if you get them wrong, you can always try to do it again. Same thing in the case studies. You have 3 attempts on that. And I believe on the codeds and the homeworks, you have 2 attempts. So in the case studies, let's say that you turn it in, it should give you, and I'm just going to write something random here, so I know for a fact that they're going to be wrong. And make sure, like I just did then, when you're putting them in, you put in the period. So your first 3 characters and then the period, and then whatever characters come after it, if there are characters that come after it. Make sure that you put that in when you're putting in the codes. And it actually doesn't, case matching doesn't matter. So if you have lowercase r or an uppercase R, either one of those are fine. I just like the aesthetic of the uppercase. Okay, so let's just say I've done this, I'm saving it, submitting. It tells me up here that I had multiple questions that were incomplete that I didn't have answers for. So it's going to tell me what I did. I'm going to need to click OK down here. And it will actually go over the tests. And it will tell me over here how many points I got right. And over here on this side, it will tell me how many points I got right. 0 out of 3. So that will, if I'd gotten 2 out of 3, then I know that I'd gotten 2 out of the 3 codes right. So at that point, while it won't tell you which codes were wrong, you can reevaluate what you put down there and what might not be right. Okay, so after you get done with that, in order for me to see it, there's still one more step that you have to complete. Down here at the bottom, there's another OK. You have to click on that other OK. Once you clicked on the other OK, I'll be able to see it. Some people just go to the first OK, and that's where you get the blue circle that says that I can't see it. Also, if you have a yellow circle, that means that I have to manually grade it. So don't worry about not having your grade right away, because I will have to come in here and grade it, and I manually grade most things on Mondays after I come in at 2 o'clock. So if you're looking for your grade and it has that yellow circle, know that by Monday night you should be able to go in and review your grades. All right, so if you have any questions, like I said, just remind me or text me or call me. Remind me and text me, however, are the ways that I will get back to you the quickest. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.